Up everyone, so today we're going to do a video about Paul, my past, how I got to where I'm at, just about me, because my wife said I should do a personal video instead of always about wholesaling. People would enjoy it. I think she's full of shit, but here we are. So for those who want to know, I'm 37 years old. I grew up in a small town in Ohio. It's called Adams County to be exact. I played sports growing up. I was a pitcher in baseball, then first base. I did center field. Yes, I've always been a bigger kid. I was about 6 foot when I was 12 or 13. We played basketball. I was always, I had to play center because in my town I was a tall kid, my county. So that's my sports history. I was like, you play football? My school was too poor to have football. They have football now in that county. They didn't have it when I went to school. When I was 12 and 13, my grandparents sent me to a Jordan camp. I went to Michael Jordan's basketball camp because, yes, I'm a Jordan fan. I watched him growing up. Big fan. You know, he's the GOAT to me. Of course, I am 37, so Jordan's Jordan. I mean, I don't get in the debates with the LeBron because whole different eras and stuff, but so yes, I met Jordan twice. But anyway, so I played baseball, played basketball. That's kind of what I did growing up. Big Nintendo guy. Played all kinds of Nintendo, Sega. Had all the systems, Atari, you name it. I had all of them up till PlayStation and 64. Then after that, I kind of got out of the Nintendos. I had Sega CD, Sega Saturn, all that good stuff. Super Nintendo. Virtual Boy, Sega, Game Gear, Game Boy, all that good stuff for those who are hardcore nerds into the gaming stuff back then. Now I don't play games at all. So, so there's a little bit about what I did growing up. Then I, got with someone when I was 16, gave up sports, typical, got my license, didn't care about sports no more. So I quit baseball, quit basketball, just wasn't interested. Then had a kid when I was in 2004, so I was 19 years old when I had my first child. He just recently turned 18. And my grandma, my aunt, they all worked in factories. My aunt worked at Mitsubishi for like 20 years. My grandma, she worked in a place where they made blacktop. And my mom, she did nails for a living. She worked in it used to be called McAlpin's. And then it got bought out and now it's called Dillard's. So she did nails and that's what she did. I never knew my dad. I didn't find out who my dad was and actually meet him until I was, I think, 20 years old. I had my first kid when I met him. Found out who he was, met him. I met him twice and that was into that relationship. So it just wasn't my cup of tea. He was arrogant, cocky. So, but I worked. I did factories. My first job I got when I was 14. I worked at Long John Silver's. I was a cook. My aunt was the manager. She hired me on because in Ohio you can get a work permit at 14. So I worked at Long John Silver's. I smelled like fish every night going home. I worked a lot of hours. I went to school, worked there. To me back then, I think I made a couple $100, $200-300 every paycheck, and that was a lot for a 14-year-old back in, the mid 90s. So after that, I quit, didn't work no more. Then when I was 16, I got a job at Wendy's, worked there for a few months, and just said screw this stuff. I was going to college. I actually went to college when I was 15 years old. It's called post-secondary. Back then it was the first year they offered it. When I was 15, I was a freshman. I got accepted. I passed the test, went to college, and didn't take it serious. I was just like, yeah, I don't have to go to high school. I did that several years. I went to college instead of high school. And I got a bunch of college credits, but like I said, I didn't take it serious. I could have graduated for a bachelor's degree at being a senior, and I didn't. I just had a bunch of college credits and goofed off as any other kid did. And so when I finally graduated school, I went and got a job. Where did I work? I worked at a trailer place. They made pull behind trailers and farm equipment. It was a small factory that was a startup company. There was probably, I think, 15 employees total. It was a fun job. Like, it was a great work environment. It was out in the elements, was under a building, but, it wasn't no heat, AC, so that sucked. Worked there for a while until they did layoffs, and my first child was born, and I got laid off right before he was born. And then I had to go find another job. I went through temp agencies, temporary, like Express and Kelly Services, and I don't know if they're even in business still. Stuff like that. Then I landed a job at, they armed Hummers. They did the bulletproofing of Humvees down in Fairfield, Ohio. I can't remember the name of the place, but it was a weird name. So I got to unload Humvees as it came in on shipments. They wasn't armored yet, so they was just like the shells. I would unload them off the freight and then drive them into the factory, and they would get bulletproofed, and then they get all the stuff in it for the Army, Navy, and all that good stuff. I did that for 6, 7, 8 months until I found another job that paid more, and then eventually I took it. It was I was an order picker, where you go around and what was the name of the company? L&B Leggett. So it was food services they delivered to like schools. You would go through like a cooler into a freezer, and you have to pick, frozen pizzas and all that crap on a pallet on little walkie riders you ride. And then I did that for a while eventually, but the whole time I'm doing this, just so everybody kind of has a reference, I drove 1.5 hours to 2 hours to work every day, because these jobs was down in the city like Fairfield, Cincinnati, Ohio, and I lived a good 90 minutes to 2 hours away from them, depending on traffic. It was 90 minutes usually, but if there was a traffic jam, which usually there was during rush hour, it would turn into a 2-hour trip each way. So I did that for a living. Like, that was a common drive for where I grew up. If you wanted to go to the city or do anything, you're going to drive 1 hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on where you want to go. And it was just normal. I mean, gas wasn't extremely high back then, so... But I did that, and then, I've bounced around a lot. Like, I've been forklift certified in like 10 different type of forklifts over the years. That's what I did. I worked on cars on the side. I got into like actually working on them hardcore in about mid-20s, because you could have, where I'm from, there wasn't business to like work on the cars in the little county and stuff. So I would do it on the side, and it didn't pay good. So I was like, I don't know, 23, 4, 5, something like that, when I got into working on cars all the time. And then I started flipping them. I would buy them cheap, fix them up, and then flip them, sell them to someone for a profit. Doing that, what I would do is get the title notarized and just leave it open, sell it to someone, and that's how we did it. That's how everybody did it. So I would flip cars. That paid good. I would make a couple grand, usually a week, just doing that. Did that for the longest time. Got onto a dealership. It wasn't a dealership then. It was just a like poodly little crappy car lot. And worked at a junkyard one time. Pulled parts around a junkyard. It was okay. But to give a recap of how stressed my life was at 22 years old, my second child was born. She was born in February, and 3 months after that, my grandma, which I lived with my grandparents since I was 2 weeks old, so they raised me, and I lived in the house I grew up in. Eventually my grandpa passed, and my grandma didn't want to live in the house by herself, so she moved in with one of my uncles I didn't get along with at all. And so she got really ill, and my uncle just, he was the type, she got a check every month, so he just wanted her money for free and didn't take care of her. Well, she got sick. She was sleeping under a window air conditioner, and she caught like pneumonia, whatever, however you say it. He took her to the ER and left her and just said, I'm not bringing her back home, send her to a nursing home. And just a little backstory about like my grandma. She's the type that she cussed like a sailor. She was meaner than a rattlesnake to people. If you was shitty to her, she was shitty to you, but she would give you her last dollar, shirt off her back. She would rather see you eat than her eat. And that's just, and she was like that to total strangers. So, and she always said if anybody ever put me in a nursing home, because she read all the tabloids. She was into the conspiracy stuff, the Sun, the Inquirer, the Examiner, the News, the Star, all them tabloids. She said if anybody ever put me in the nursing home, I'm going to haunt them the rest of their life, because, you know, them people that, in which I worked in nursing homes, and I'll get into that here in a little bit. I was like, well, I'm not going to put you in a nursing home. The emergency room called me, and I went to the emergency room and picked her up, carried her out, put her in my, well, they brought her on a wheelchair. I had to pick her up out of the wheelchair, put her in my vehicle like a little baby, drove her to the house, which I grew up in and was her house that she moved out of because she didn't want to live there after my grandpa passed. And I carried her into the house, into my bed, and that's where she lived for the next 3 or 4 months, 5 months, something like that. I don't even really know much. I kind of shut that part of my brain out, but she lived there with me. And I had to take care of her like a baby. Had to rotate her, change her diaper. I mean, I do it all. And I was only 22 years old. Just had my second child. It wasn't expected of me. I quit my job at the time to take care of my grandma. And what I did is she had money every month. And I was like, well, it'll pay the bills. And then I did odd jobs around my subdivision because I lived in a subdivision of old people. And I did odd jobs, mow grass, paint fences, whatever I had to do to make ends meet, flip cars when I could, and stay close to the house for my grandma because I was the one taking care of her. So, as I said about nursing homes, I became in Ohio they call them STNAs. Some places call them CNAs, caregivers, certified nurse assistants. In Ohio it's called a state tested nurse aide. I became one. I went and took tests, passed it, took the classes, done all that. And when she passed, I actually went and got a job at the nursing home, the veterans nursing home in Georgetown, Ohio. Worked there for 6-7 months, and they always put me on the floor with the Alzheimer's dementia patients because they're the meanest and most combative. And being a 6'3" dude that was 300 pounds, that's where they would stick me with them. So I worked I did that stuff there for a while, and it wasn't for me. Like the way families don't come see these people for months and months until they're like on their deathbed, then all of a sudden you got 30 people in their room to cry and boo-hoo how much they miss them, but yet you was there working 60-70 hours a week because I would pull doubles and stuff, and no one would ever come visit them. But when they was on their deathbed, all of a sudden it's a family reunion in there, and it's sad because you take time for granted, people do. So anywho, but up till, like I said, in my mid-20s, that's kind of how my work ethic was. I've done everything, you name it, I've tried it. I did, we eventually, in 2014, we moved from Ohio to Biloxi, Mississippi. My mom relocated down there. I'm the only child. I had all the grandkids, so we relocated with her, and I got a job at the dealership, did that, and eventually, as everybody, if you've ever followed me, you heard the rage quit story. I rage quit. So got into it with an old master tech, rage quit, and then I came back to a dealership at another location because we want to keep me and the master technician away from each other. And then I got into it with a service advisor there, and then I rage quit there. And when I did that one, that was when I got into wholesaling. So the first rage quit, I tried life insurance, and I got licensed. I passed the test and everything. Life insurance was hard, and it didn't work. And then the dealership called me back and said, hey, you want to go to work at the other location? You won't have to be around the master tech. We need a technician. I'm like, sure. So I went back. It didn't last but a few months before I blew up with a service advisor who thought he was the owner of the dealership. Blew up on him, and I was like, I'm done. Like, the stress wasn't worth it no more. So, and then I got in, told my wife when I did that one, and she knew it was coming because I was having lots of issues. And she's like, you gotta do this wholesaling. You just got to. You can do it. You're a bullshitter. Obviously, if you see my history, I've worked so many jobs. I've done everything. I get along with everybody. So gave wholesaling a shot, and from there, you all know the story. I started clear back in 2018 and did my first deal, and here I am today. So if y'all want to know, everybody thinks that, if they don't know me, I came from this great life and all this stuff. They don't realize I came from a shithole in the wall county. Grandparents raised me. I had a million jobs in factories. I've wiped asses for a living. I watched the lady who raised me die in my home while I took care of her, only being a little over 27 years old with 2 kids. And so, I've been through it all. I've been through the ups, I've been through the downs, and there's a lot more about me that a lot of people in that county knows. But we all have past. We've all went through hardships in life, and it sucked. It took me till my mid-30s to finally, get ahead in life, but I wouldn't change my journey for anything. It's made me who I am, and so that's why you will never see me being fake and acting like, oh, I'm this and that, and just not me. I'm raw, I'm real, and what you see is what you get. If you don't like me, I'm sorry. My personality usually rubs pretty well with everybody, but if you're a troll, a hater, and you want to spread hate, I'm going to dish it right back. I won't hesitate for it. So, all right, well, there's me rambling on about my upbringing and whatnot. So sorry, I was kind of all over the place. There's a lot in 37 years on this earth. So if you watched this whole video, maybe you feel like you're closer to me and you can relate. You can see that I'm not just any guy that's just trying to blow smoke up your ass. I've been through a lot, and I'm trying to help others get through their shit as much as I can. I'm only one person, and I hope a lot of these people, because I just actually, before I made this video, I had an encounter with someone. They wanted to fly out to pick my brain, and because I had an automated message turned on Facebook, his response was whatever. And I'm like, so of course I seen that, and I get probably 400 messages a day across Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and I get thousands of comments between all of them. So I don't catch them all, obviously. That's why it's an automated message. So of course I respond to them like, dude, you want to come pick my brain, but yet because an automated message sends you a response, you cock an attitude and do whatever. Like, why would I even want to try to help you when you get so angry over an automated response? Like, I don't owe you anything. You should be happy at least you got a response to say, hey, due to the overwhelming amount of messages, because usually people want to know where to start, or if it's me that's sending them a friend request or selling them a course, because there's scammers out there that's acting like me. So I'm trying to help people from getting fraud and trying to help people get to my YouTube and my playlist and my website, because a lot of people don't know how to get to that stuff. So I do that to help people, and yet it's not good enough, and that drives me nuts how entitled some people are. So no need to be negative Nancy's. I'm only one person. I don't have a team. It's just me. I try to respond to all my followers as I can, but I'm not going to sit here 24 hours a day and try to make you all happy. I do the best I can. I do have a life. Every now and then I'll catch one of the negative Nancy's coming across my little notifications, and I'll respond, because it really irritates me, the entitlement some of my followers have. So anywho, if you might watch this whole spill of me blabbing on, appreciate it. Please like, share, follow, spread the word, and check out my new site. I actually built a website. It's not a landing page no more. You actually have other pages on it, so I hope it helps people too. I try to simplify it for everyone. So hope you all have a great day. See you on the next video.